Hi. So, like all the other TEDxCLE speakers, I'd like to share with you something I'm passionate about and something I've been working on. Unlike them, I want to give you everything you need to know to do the exact same thing, absolutely free. My name is Chris Yanc, and I love sharing technology. I want you to know how to do everything I've done. I want you to be able to build everything I've built and code everything I've coded. It used to be that if you wanted to prototype and build new technology and innovate, you needed to have a good amount of funds backing you. And so it was taken down to major corporations would be building new technology, new software programs, new computer drive things, cars, planes, anything like that. You needed a good base to work with. But thanks to the internet, people have, the whole world can come together and share ideas and simplify things that have been very complex, so everyone can work together. So thinking of that, where else have I heard a bunch of people coming together to share ideas? TEDx Cleveland. Like open source TED and TEDx events are about bringing people together to collaborate and share ideas. So the main ideas I want to talk about today is DIY and open source, primarily open source, but there's this idea of DIY that I feel goes hand in hand with it. It's, well, I pulled the information from Wikipedia, and it's a little more detailed than I think you actually need it to be. So if you break it down, it's pretty much do it yourself. Anything you gotta do, just gotta put it together. And then this idea of open source, it started with developing software where when you're releasing something, you didn't just give them the final product, you actually gave them the code behind everything so you could compile it yourself, so you could know every little bit about the technology you were getting. But that doesn't have to stop at just software. This idea of transparency and knowing how everything was built, that could actually be brought into anything, hardware particularly. So what kind of things would I be talking about? Well, if you think about a computer, all it really is one processor or a couple processors connecting different bits of hardware together and being able to communicate all those pieces independently of each other. So there's this product out there, it's called the Arduino. It's pretty much an open source processor. You could use it to connect all sorts of sensors and switches and LEDs and everything. Everything about it is open, how it's built, the code that makes everything work together. But what else can open source technology work on? There's Aurora 224 is a mixer for DJs that they can build themselves. The RepRap is an open 3D printer, so you could actually be at home and build little 3D objects of things you need a prototype with. There's the Oscar. It's a actual open source car project where people are building cars that are street legal. The Legati Stratos is an open source plane project. And the Open Prosthetics project where people are openly sharing CAD designs of different prosthetics so people work together to come up with the best solution. And there's more out there, but why is this open source important? It's because there's power in numbers. It's not just one small group of people working on it. Now you have this worldwide endeavor. So your support isn't just this little call center, it's everyone out there that's helping and working together. It's flexible and expandable because once you know how it works, then you could change it to whatever fits your needs. The cost is lower because now you have this army of people, of savvy shoppers going out and finding the most cost-effective pieces, parts. And it stops vendor lock-in. This software is like no longer locked down to only PC or Mac or Linux. it can now be ported to anything. So innovation doesn't have to just be its own centralized part that slowly spreads. It could start popping up anywhere around the world and just grow at a more rapid pace. So something that I've been passionate about is this whole idea of multi-touch technology. I'm going to run through really quick and tell you how to build it yourself. So you start off with a webcam, and that's essentially all it takes. Now, webcams can look at infrared light, but there's a filter inside of them that stops it. So just break it open, take out the filter. Then you put in something to filter out the visible light so it doesn't get affected by it. So you put in this new visible filter and you light it up. I like to use LEDs, and there's different ways you could do it. You could get spotlights that work, or you could wire it yourself. Just if you're gonna wire it yourself, that's when you really gotta start learning patience and practice a lot, because I've gone through so many LEDs and resistors and they just blow up in this blue puff of smoke. And but you can't let that stop you from keeping on going. And soldering irons are hot and they will burn you, and it's not pleasant. So once you have all that together, you get a solid surface. I like to use acrylic, nice and stable. And then you put the webcam underneath, the projector, the lights, so that when you're touching it, the light that's coming through is bouncing off of your fingers, and then you get a nice piece of software. There's other ones out there, but I prefer this one called Community Core Vision. It's created by just a group of people. It's called a Natural User Interface Group, and the whole bit of software is open. And you could take it, you could modify it any way you want, and just share it. And at that point, I was realizing that all I was doing was taking from this community. So I wanted to start giving back. And after it was developed, or after I got it working, I realized I needed applications to put on it, but there weren't that many. So I went back to my personal website and started figuring out how to make applications. And then I would write tutorials to give back to the community. And a lot of things ended up helping me because of that, because I was looking more critically about how I was developing things and how I was talking. And by me explaining my actions, it was helping me become a better developer. And I was actually getting more credit within the community, because there would be people I admired and I loved their projects, and they would contact me and they say, "Oh, I love your tutorials and they're very helpful." And these are the exact same people I would be saying the exact same things back to. So one of the benefits of open source is this idea of lower cost. The project I've been working on is exactly like the Microsoft Surface table, and the fact that theirs is 12 to 15K, and you could actually buy all these little bits and pieces to put together at a substantially lesser cost. Why wouldn't you just do that? So open source is not without its problems, of course. One of the things you can run into is this idea of too many cooks in the kitchen. Now you have a world of people who are just throwing ideas back at you, and some of them are good, some of them aren't that good, but the fact that the ideas are flowing are beneficial. And it really pretty much kills the idea of trade secrets, since nothing's secret anymore. And then if the community is small, there is a problem that you won't have that same type of support with a large community. So if the group gets stuck on a problem, you just have to wait until it gets solved, or you got to solve it yourself. And then one of the big points is thinking about ownership and copyright laws. Depending on which country you're in, it can get really hairy trying to figure out what's legal to do and what's legal not to do. But because of this open source, I've been able to work on something I've been passionate about for a while now. And because of that, there's been doors open for anyone who's willing to take a look at technology and start building it yourself and build off of it. So I invite you to go take a look at the multi-touch table I've built and in the lobby upstairs. And just remember, the information and the ideas are free, but the table isn't.